What is up, everybody? And it is an exciting day because we got another update for Undisputed. We got to update 0.4. Now 0.4, and let me tell you, I'm calling it the Wilder update. This is the freaking Wilder update, and we'll get into why that is. But first of all, we got new fighters. We got Frampton in the game. We got Riddick Bowe in the game, Big Daddy Bowe, and we got cont. So those are the three new fighters that we have, and I will make sure you can see all their information in the background in case you're curious as to what their traits are. And we're going to talk about traits. There's very interesting maneuver that they've made with traits, and we're going to talk about that. But in case you're interested in the traits of the new fighters, if you want to see the stats and things like that, I want to make sure I have that information rolling in the background so you can check that out. So one thing that we do have going into this, in addition to those new fighters, is venues. So venues, they added the C7 hangar, which is a large aircraft hangar. It's considered on the western coast. It kind of reminded me of that Costa Mesa. I don't know if you guys have seen that in the Golden Boy fight nights. They always have their fight nights in Costa Mesa, and it's a place called the Hangar. I believe it's like in Orange County or somewhere. Well, it says Costa Mesa, California, so that's where it's at. But it's the C7 hangar, and then they have the Falcor Bay, which I really like this environment, especially because it's at sunset. So you're fighting at sunset. It looks beautiful out there. It looks like you need to have a drink and just be chilling, watching the fight. But those two venues are nice. I'm glad that they're added, and I just love them. I love these two venues, and then the previous added venues as well. I like those as well. Now let's get into the nitty gritty, baby. All right, so the nitty gritty about these gameplay changes. So we have a new mechanic. The new mechanic is that forward slip. All you got to do is hold down the right bumper, which is your power modifier, and then you press up on the stick, or you press down on the stick. So it's the power modifier, which is the right bumper on the Xbox controller like I use, and then you go up and down. And there's a very minimum cooldown. It's maybe half a second, and then you can do it again. So you go up, down, and then you can just do it again right after that. After about maybe 0.3 seconds, you can do it again. I like it. It's a way that you can close the distance. I have used it effectively. I did a match where I was Joe Frazier, and I went against Tyson Fury, and I was able to use it effectively there. So I am a fan of it. I'm still obviously me just using it now. It's not like I'm going to be using it perfectly, but I know that people can use it, and people are going to use it effectively as we go forward. I don't think it's a difficult adjustment. So I do think players will be able to jump on and kind of reap the benefits of it fairly quickly. And this is put in place for fighters like Joe Frazier, like Sean Porter, like Rocky Marciano. So this diagonal dodge is definitely going to benefit them. And one thing that they also added, since we're talking about Joe Frazier, they did bring in his leaping left hook. His leaping left hook is in the game. All you got to do is press forward and then throw your left hook, and he's going to leap forward and do it. Very simple to do. And if you stay in place, you still can do your directional left hook, and you can do your standing left hook. So you still have those left hooks there, but this is just obviously his specialty. And the more specialized movements and feelings that we can get from these players, the better. They've enabled stance switching in online play, which is big for some people. I did show some stance switching because, like I've told you guys plenty of times, I haven't played online too much. So they improved the stance switching animation. As you see here, I used Terrence Crawford going against Josh Taylor, and you can see how I use that stance switching animation. I think it looks great. Have no issues there. And when you guys get on, let me know. If you don't like it, tell me why. I'm curious as to why, because I didn't have any problems. I was able to, it seems like I was very smooth going in and out of the stance. I can attack right away. I didn't notice any issues with it. So if you notice some issues with it, please let me know, because it was pretty good to me. They adjusted how all boxers interweave blocking to be smoother. I believe it does look a little smoother. I just took some time to just move around with a boxer just to see, okay, this is how it looks. It's Yeah, just typical stuff. Yeah, I was like, yeah, okay, that's good. That looks good to me. It looks good to me. But at the time, I was just most excited about one thing. And I got to tell you guys about this other change. And this change, you know what? I don't want to talk about Wilder yet. We'll talk about Wilder when we get to damage, because that's appropriate. They talk the stamina, maximum stamina drain for base punches was increased by 10%. The stamina can no longer drop below 30%. And I noticed that firsthand in that same fight that I was going against Tyson Fury. It did not drop below 30%. It stayed at the level at above 30%. And you can definitely tell when it says the maximum stamina drain for base punches is increased by 10%. I felt that stamina drain in that same fight, actually. I felt that same stamina drain in that same fight. So you're going to really have to make sure you're managing your stamina, because as your stamina lowers, that's going to make you more vulnerable to damage. And let's get into damage. So the swelling resistance curve has been adjusted to allow for more damage to take place. Great, because we need more damage. Cut resistance curve has been adjusted to allow for cuts to appear more frequently. Great. Increase the damage at lower stamina values to make fights more engaging. Increase the swelling chance by 10%. Damage cap. Now, they did talk about a damage cap. They said the maximum damage a single punch can do has been significantly increased, meaning that punches that combine a range of damage multipliers can now do more damage than was previously possible, like a power punch landed in a critical zone. That's huge. The minimum damage each punch can do has increased, so it is now 10% below the base level, and power punch damage increased for hooks and uppercuts. And I say that to now jump into Wilder. So Wilder feels like Wilder. I'm telling you right now, he is lethal. He is very dangerous. And I think a part of the reason, one of the main reasons he's dangerous, is because a very valued update that they made with this is they made tiered traits, y'all. I love this idea, because just because somebody has powerhouse or somebody has a power punch modifier or a trait doesn't mean it's at the same level of another fighter. So this is critical. We know Wilder has that KO power, and it's different than other fighters that have KO power. And they emphasized that by they gave him the tier 3 traits. And I'll show you his traits right here, but it's crazy because he is dangerous at all times, and it feels like it. Actually, the first fight that I had with the new update, I took it online. Well, not online, but I played against Riddick Bowe. So, and against Riddick Bowe, within a minute, I noticed a difference. I had Riddick Bowe hurt. I had him in trouble, hitting him with power punches. He was hurting. Real quick. And I was like, okay, this is why if you get caught by Wilder, if you're just going to sit there with your guard up and you're not going to throw back, you're going to get knocked out. And that's exactly what Riddick Bowe got knocked out. He got knocked out by my Wilder. He sure did. Not my Wilder. Y'all know what I'm saying. But he got knocked out by Wilder. So you guys are going to really love Wilder in this update. And I want to see more of this. Here's the thing about these tier traits. I noticed it really on all the new fighters. Everybody else, and they did say they're going to manage this. And this was, I believe, in the general changes they mentioned this. They did say that they were going to add more tiers to other fighters as they go along. So expect that to change, because right now there's only Wilder, Zhukan, Carl Frampton. Those are the only 3, I believe, that has over a tier 1 trait. Zhukan has punches and bunches, and he's tier 3 with that. Carl Frampton has punches and bunches, and he's tier 2. So you'll be able to play around and say, okay, what does tier 1 feel like? What does tier 2 feel like? What does tier 3 feel like? And Wilder is the only heavyweight that has any tier above 1, and his is tier 3s. He has tier 3s in like all his areas, and you feel it. So you definitely can tell the difference. And let me tell you one thing about this. This is why it is important when you're considering making changes to damage. You have to keep in mind these traits. You can't just be, oh, let's up the damage. Because if you just up the damage, then you got a fighter like Wilder who has tier 3 on everything, especially when you're talking about his power. And then he's just like, we could be one punch KOing everybody. And that's just not, we talk about realistic. We talk about authenticity. That's not authentic. That is not. So before you start going crazy and saying, oh, damage needs to be increased, play the game. If you watch enough boxing, not everybody's getting knocked out within the first 4 rounds. If people get caught right, yes, it can happen. And that's how this game can be. And that's the way it's trying to move forward. Wilder is extremely dangerous and you will get KO'd at any time. But there's very few fighters that are like that. But there's a lot of fighters where you can get hurt. And that's what we want to see. And that's what I think they're going to be trying to figure out from this point on. Like, who do we make tier 2 in the powerhouse department? Because that's going to place them in that realm. While you have power, where you have Wilder that has that ridiculous power that could just KO you like that, then you have the tier 2s that are going to hurt you and daze you more, etc., etc. So some general changes that they made: they've added an experimental replay system for knockdowns and knockouts. It's disabled by default and is only available for offline play. So I'm going to show you guys an example of that right here.
I admire these guys. Took a big shot. And Eddie Hall goes down.
Now, keep in mind, this is only the first iteration of replays in Undisputed, and they said they're going to continue to improve it for future updates. So give your feedback on this. I noticed they updated the boxer's sweat visuals. They mentioned that. They adjusted the sweatiness levels across multiple boxers. And the AI on Undisputed difficulty should now feel more aggressive. That's what I always play on, is Undisputed difficulty. That Riddick Bowe fight that I had, I was telling you about Deontay Wilder, he was not very aggressive. But then I fought Josh Taylor with Terrence Crawford, and he was more aggressive. So I'll have to just play it more and get a better feel of it. But as of now, it didn't feel that much more aggressive. They still kind of wait until like the minute mark of the round. It seems like the first round before they really start going to town. But if you're aggressive, then they will be a little more aggressive and defending themselves. But I didn't notice a big difference. They made some other changes to the fighters. I just want to show you guys those changes now. When you talk about Tommy Morrison and Floyd Patterson, they updated some idle animations when in loose movement. Terrence Crawford updated his short staff stitching on the nameplate. They increased Chantel Cameron's levels. And Roy Jones Jr. at heavyweight took some hit. He took a hit, big hit. And some general bug fixes as well. We can run through those just so you guys can see them, but I'm not going to talk about those in depth. And they made improvements to online networking. So players should now experience fewer desync online issues. Some people were saying, I was in the Savage Boxing Promotions Discord, and they were saying that they feel like it's actually worse. So that's something they're probably going to have to flesh out. You might see a hot fix that comes out to address that, but they're still working on it. It's still a work in progress. So let's just check it out, give them feedback, and I'm sure they'll be on it pretty quickly, especially since they're considering this to be an improvement. And if it's not improved, then they need to get on it. So make sure you're letting them know in the Undisputed Discord how that is. But that's all I have for this one, y'all. It's a lot going on, a lot of changes, a lot of positivity going on. I love the tier traits. I love the direction with that. We just got to see where they go with it and who gets what tiers. So that way, that's going to affect these damage numbers. And that's going to also bring some uniqueness, some more uniqueness to the fighters, because you'll be like, yeah, okay, this person's a power puncher, but this person is dangerous. And that's how it should be. Just because they have the same traits doesn't mean it's the same. So that's huge. I like the fighters. I like the venues. it was a good update. Looks to be a good update so far. Gotta get online right. They just gotta keep working on getting that stable. The online switching stance, that's great that it's in online play as it should be. The stance switch animation, so all of that, guys, all of it. It was a good update, but that's all I have for this one. I'll catch y'all on the next one. Till next time, let me know what you think. Like, comment, subscribe. You know, of course, I talk about Undisputed anytime they have an update. Anytime something big is going on with the game, I am going to be talking about it. But I do other games as well, and mainly For Honor, as you know. But much love to y'all for checking out the video. Appreciate you. Till next time, peace.